Hi and welcome to SSW TV. We're here at NDC Sydney and I'm sitting with Damian. Welcome, Damian.
Thank you.
Hey, you've just done your session.
I have, yes.
And, but I don't want to talk to you about that. I want to ask you about one of my favourite SSW TV videos that you did a while ago. And I think it was called something like Stop Deploying Like an Idiot.
Yeah. I was a little more aggressive, yep.
So I want to ask the question, are people still deploying like idiots, or do you think that you're seeing a trend away from that?
Look, I'm not allowed to call people idiots anymore. But no, look, people are still doing deployments badly. I guess working for Octopus Deploy, we see people starting to deploy a bit better than they used to. And that's just the nature of being in the echo chamber where people adopt Octopus and they start doing things a little bit better. But look, there's still plenty of people who are doing things kind of the wrong way. So a lot of the things we see, the number one thing is still manual deployments, right?
So right-click publish.
Right-click publish. Friends don't let friends right-click publish, as I say. But or RDPing onto a server and FTPing files across and copy and pasting and then hand modifying web configs and things like that. And that's why people do all their big deployments on Saturdays, right? Because it's only going to take 5 minutes to do the deployment, but then it's going to take you the rest of the weekend to find out that one little thing that you missed.
So there a lot of downtime is obviously a big risk of manual deployments.
Exactly right. So we still do see people doing that, but I see a lot of massive success stories as well. So one of the other talks that we saw here was domain.com.au. And they do some amazing stuff with their deployment life cycles.
They're using Octopus as well, aren't they?
They're using Octopus, as kind of the orchestration tool for all of the other work they've done. So it's not just Octopus, but it's tons and tons of stuff with auto healing, auto scaling, load balancing, cattle not pets kind of stuff. So
cattle not pets is a great expression, but do you want to expand a bit on that?
Yeah, so the cattle not pets expression kind of came from an ex-Microsoft employee, Bill Baker, and it's the way he describes talking about the way you treat servers. So the way I like to describe it, I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said, but the way I like to describe it is that if you treat your servers, like your production web server, for example, like a pet, then if a pet gets sick, you nurse it back to health. You give it some medicine. I don't have pets. I don't really know what you do, but you care about it, right? And it's an important thing. So you nurse it back to health, and if something goes wrong with that pet, it's a big problem, right? But conversely, if you treat them a little bit more like cattle, then if one of your head of 300 cattle gets sick, then you probably just get a new cow, right?
You shoot it.
You shoot it and get a new one. So I actually like the way that the domain guys talk about this. They talk about it as robots, not humans. So you don't love a robot, you love humans. So treating your servers more like replaceable, ephemeral things that you don't get attached to. You can just replace it with something else, and that's really important. Yeah.
Excellent. So you're helping people actually go from deploying once a month or once a quarter to you're moving towards deploying once a week or every day or even more regularly. Yeah,
it's really important, and people go into this kind of continuous deployment and deployment automation stuff with the idea that we can deploy 400 times a day, and so we need to deploy every single check-in and stuff. And it's less about having to do that and more about being able to do that if you wanted to. So if you push out a bug to production, just the idea that you're able to say, we didn't notice that bug, let's just quickly fix it, push it out, and then it's fixed. So the velocity as a possibility as opposed to a necessity, I think, is really important. Yeah.
Definitely. And just the safety that comes around being able, because I think a lot of these people who are doing a right-click deployment, it's very hard for them to do right-click deployment to a dev environment that everyone's synchronizing on, and then a test environment, then a UAT and a staging. Because they're doing everything manually, that's a massive amount of work.
It is, and so they tend to skip those things. And everybody's been in those environments where you have your staging environment, right? And you run it and everything seems to work and it's going fine, and then it goes to production and there's just this little bug, little thing you need to fix. Now, do you do that manual deployment through test, staging, QA? Of course not. You need to fix production right now, so you just go straight to production.
Definitely.
And then it's out of sync with everything else, and it becomes a bigger problem than it's worth. So if you can focus your efforts on getting things much faster, so that cycle time is really, really quick, then you can do it properly, go through all your environments, but do it really, really quickly the right way.
Yeah. And you trust it because you've you trust your deployment's going to work because because you're doing it all the time, and there's nothing to go wrong because it's being done constantly.
And if it goes wrong before you get to production, which is not a big deal at all.
Yeah. It's actually, it was great. I had a guy come up to me who at TechEd a few years ago, he said, oh, how do you roll back when you do it? Because I was doing the continuous deployment. He said, how do you roll back? I'm like, we don't roll back, we roll forward. But because we're deploying so regularly and because we're deploying through so many different gates, we never need to roll back.
Yeah, exactly. It's all that pipeline, being able to get everything through, stop the bugs from getting to production, but also get everything out there automatically. So, you stop the bad stuff from getting to prod, and you get the good stuff into prod really, really fast.
Awesome. So, what are you saying to people who are out there going, hey, I'm still doing right-click deployment? What's their first step?
Well, and you hear this from a lot of speakers as well at NDC, is the first step of anything is to start, right? So if it's really, really hard for you to do that, first step, you think this is an insurmountable goal, the first step of every journey is like the first step, right? So you need to actually start and say, right, what's one thing we can improve right now? I have to go and deploy this thing to every single server. Well, maybe we can use something to say, I just have one script and it runs on all of those servers. But just starting that journey means that you're able to kind of continue on that path and slowly get better and better and better. You're never going to buy a product and it's going to solve your problem straight away. But if you start thinking about how you can improve your situation, then that's the first thing, just start.
But this thing isn't necessarily hard to set up. I mean, I know in your talk you did, from installing the software all the way to test and production in 45 minutes.
Yeah. So
obviously you've done it a few times.
I've had a little bit of a practice at doing that. Yeah. So it's not a difficult tool. We kind of focus on Octopus Deploy being really easy to use, and we do find that the vast majority of people who start using Octopus are still using it much later, and within about a week they're actually deploying real software to their environments. So. We do find it's easy to use, but again, a tool is not going to solve all of your problems. You get the kind of cargo cult mentality with products as well, where you're being given this product and say this solves all your problems, and you fight it the whole time. You need to change the way that you're working as well.
Definitely.
So as much as I'm saying absolutely give Octopus Deploy a try, you've got to understand what it is you're achieving when you do that as well.
That's it. Because you also want people starting to think about, if you're developing in an agile way and you're completing features and you want to, there's cultural change. That's what you're saying. There's cultural changes. It's not just about the deployment. It's about the cultural changes that go with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can absolutely automate terrible process. So one of the stories I tell is somebody we spoke to who was having a lot of trouble with their deployment. It was taking a very, very long time. Step number one of their automated deployment process was to grant the everyone group full read-write control over C drive recursively, which is not a good solution to the problem, right? It's the same as the good old install Visual Studio on your production web server, because that way things will just start working. So you've got to improve as you're doing the process as well. You can't just automate all of the stuff that you were doing before.
Don't automate a bad process.
Don't have steps in there that call Selenium to click buttons around and drag files. So
that's awesome. Look, thank you very, very much for sharing your opinions, and it's we use Octopus on all of our projects, so so we love it. But thanks for joining us.
No worries,
and
thank you.
Thank you for joining us for SSW TV.
Hey everybody, it's me, Scott Hanselman, here with Adam Kogan at NDC Sydney. We're hanging out. It's SSW Video. How are you, sir? That's how you do an intro. No, go ahead. I'll be right here, please.